Hi, is anyone here? I think it's just me. Ooh. Hey, Michelle. Can you hear me, Michelle? Oh, you know what? You might be muted. Okay. Hopefully you can hear me. I think that your thing might be muted, so I can't hear you. But that's fine. You can leave it muted if you want. If you can't hear me, maybe, I don't know, I can't see your video. Send me a message in the Facebook thing and we can figure it out. We'll just wait for a few more minutes and see if anyone else is going to join, and we'll start at 4. Michelle, if you can hear me, can you just type in the group chat on the side that give like an okay or a smiley face or something so I know you can hear the audio? Maybe you can't hear me. Okay, I'm just posting in the group just to see if anyone else was coming. I think 2 or 3 people said that they would, but we'll wait another minute. Oh, you can hear me. Okay, you can see me, but you can't hear me. Interesting, because it looks like my audio is going. If I unmute you, can you hear me now, Michelle? Is that... Ah, perfect. Okay, I had it muted. I suppose that's why. Glad we sorted that out before I started chatting. That would have been a waste.
What are you doing, Mom?
Ah, you had yours muted. Okay, I see. Cool. I think if you mute yours, Michelle, unless you want to ask a question or something, you should still be able to hear me, I think.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, okay. Good. Let me figure this out then. Speaker on. Speaker off.
Yes.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yes.
Oh. But I turned the speaker off. Okay.
Interesting. And if I, what about if, oh, now you're muted. Yeah. If you can still hear me, I cannot hear you. Okay, I think we're going to start. Michelle, you're so punctual and always the one here. But that's fine. The other girls can like play it back when it makes sense for their schedule and their time, or maybe they'll join in if they have a moment to do so. So I am going to, same as last time, share my screen so that you can see this little PowerPoint that I just put together to just for kind of talking points for the presentation. Let me just see if I can do this. This one. Share screen. Okay, cool. I think that should be good. So, okay, so this month's workshop I wanted to do on passion discovery and planning, and a couple of reasons why I wanted to do that and why I think it's important. I mean, it kind of ties into this whole best year yet, and I mentioned it a few times that, sorry, one second, I see that there. Oh no. Okay, never mind. Just was fiddling with some settings on the computer. It's all good. Anyway, I mentioned it a couple times that I think that once you start to get your health and nutrition in check, that inevitably it bubbles into other parts of your life. And I think that it does for several reasons. One is that when you do get a little bit healthier and make time for yourself and your nutrition and stuff, that your self-confidence starts to improve and there's a sense of empowerment. And then with that, inevitably, once you kind of feel organized in that part of your life and you feel more confidence and more space to begin looking at other parts of your life. And then the other piece is that I think once people build a habit of spending a little bit of time on themselves, if they're not particularly used to that, and once you build it into your schedule and routine, you realize hopefully how valuable that is and how much more you can give to other people and how much you can show up for other people and be more engaged in their lives when you spend a little bit of time on yourself. So I find that inevitably it shifts from just focusing on ourselves in like a health and wellness perspective to focusing ourselves in other areas that we want to develop. So linking back to this workshop on passion discovery and planning, I'm certainly not an expert in discovering your passion, but what I'm going to share is what's worked for me. And so if I think back to my life in the past, like let's say the last decade, if someone were to say like, oh, how, you meet up with a friend for coffee or lunch or whatever, and they're like, how are things going? My response, just as many people, is like, it's good. Yeah, everything's okay. And now when I think back on that, it's like, okay, is okay? Is okay? Okay. Like, life is so short, right? And is it like, am I satisfied with just being at an okay place in my life? And that's not to say that every day and every moment has to be like this high elevated, like things are freaking amazing, but like just a mediocre okay is not really good enough for me. Like I know that I'm capable of more than that, and I know that I can contribute more than that, and I can do more than that. So at the time it didn't seem like anything that crazy, but when I look back to it now and think that it's just like, yeah, things are okay, they're good. No, I'm not satisfied with that. And I think that if people stop and think about their own lives, they might realize that like, if things are just okay, that's awesome. They're not like crappy, but you probably can do more and achieve more and be more engaged. And I think it's a matter of like figuring out what kind of lights you on fire. So I'm just basically going to share things that I've done that have worked for me. If anyone watching this, or like now or later, or if you want to share something in the Facebook, if you have an experience or a technique or a tool or something that I've used that has worked for you, please by all means feel free to share with others, because what resonates for one person doesn't resonate for another. And I'm sharing a whole bunch of things in here that have worked for me, and maybe they won't all work for you, but hopefully you'll get one or two takeaways that will feel really useful for you and help you shift the dial in some way. Okay, so let's get into it. So first, what is your passion? What does that mean? And for me, when I think about that, that's something that that sets your soul on fire. It makes you jump out of bed in the morning. It brings a smile to your face. Often when we're really dialed into what we love and our passion, you forget to eat. You forget to do things that like you are part of your regular routine because you're so focused in the moment. You're so focused in the task. And there's a couple personal development books that refer to this as finding your flow. So when you find your flow and you kind of tune into what you really love, you forget everything else. Like it all kind of like goes around you. You, as I mentioned, you forget to eat. Someone asks you a question, you're not really like listening because you're just so zoned in on what it is that really speaks to you. And that's obviously different for every person. Finding your passion, I think it gives you a sense of contribution. I think that people are always looking as like, what is their thing? Like if we're going to get really deep here, like what is our purpose here? Like why are we on this planet? Why are we here? And mostly often people feel like they want to contribute and they want to do something and give back and leave a mark, or, you know, leave the world or their space better than when it was when they came in. And people want to kind of connect to a bigger purpose. And that's a very common overarching theme with just humans, that people feel this need to connect to something bigger than who they are and who their life is. Okay, so moving on from that one. So obviously the meat of the workshop, how do you discover your passion? What can you do to discover what it is that makes you jump out of bed in the morning and sets your soul on fire? I think the single most important thing is time. Like without a benefit of doubt, time is the most important thing you can give to yourself to discover your passion. And even just taking the time right now to listen to this workshop, even if you don't act on anything I will suggest here, giving yourself this time, there's like some subconscious wheels that are starting to turn in the back of your mind. And, you know, you might 2 or 3 days from now be in the shower and be like, oh, I never thought of that before, because you're giving yourself that space and that time to disconnect from your priorities, to disconnect from your to-do list, from your competing demands, and focus on yourself. And I think so often we're so caught up in the busyness of life. We're so busy doing all of this stuff that we have to do. And you know, we all have competing demands. So giving yourself time to actually just think and sit and realize what's already inside you is so key. So ways that you, beyond listening to this workshop, meditation. Super great opportunity to just quiet your mind and kind of zone out and get all the constant thoughts out, so you can create that space for some new thoughts. Weekend getaways are really awesome. If you have, you know, you can go away with a group of girlfriends, or you can go away just by yourself, but just removing yourself out of your regular routine and habit is so key. Journaling is another one. I've mentioned it a couple times, like on Facebook or in my email to my list. Maybe you guys have seen me write about it. Is in the past couple of years, I've gone on I think it's like a 4-day conference in San Diego. And this conference has been so life-changing for me for many reasons. But one of them is that it's 4 days where I focus on myself. And I don't have my clients. When I was working at UBC, I don't have that work. It really was focusing on me, being in a room with like really positive, can-do people, and having the time to do little exercises and breakout groups and different workshops, and creating that space for my mind to think about, like, what is it that I want to do? And I think before, when I was working at UBC and I wasn't really like planning or moving anything forward, I was just kind of like working my full-time job, had my part-time gig, and was doing that for way too long. One of the missing pieces that I didn't even give myself time to think about, what is it that I want to be doing? Okay, so the second thing is brainstorm. Obviously, we do this all the time when we're in school and projects and stuff. And then as adults, I don't know, I feel like this exercise, which is like utilized a lot when we're children and we're learning, we kind of just let it go by the wayside when we're adults, but there's really a lot of value here to just grab a piece of paper and jot down what are the things that you enjoy doing. And the key here is to take away any negative thoughts that pop in your head that might be like, oh, I like doing that, but I could never do that because X, Y, Z. Or, oh, I would really love to do this as my career, but I can't do that because it doesn't pay enough money. Like, those negative thoughts are not allowed in this brainstorming session. You need to just, like, whatever's in your mind, put it on the paper. And then another great way to kind of flip that brainstorm is to write down everything you dislike doing. So maybe you don't know what it is that you're really good at yet, or you haven't really like tuned into that. But if you can brainstorm all of the things that you really dislike doing, you can narrow the field a lot. So that can be really helpful to be clear to yourself about what things just drive you nuts. You just want to try and minimize in your life as much as possible. So the next one, the outsider perspective, this one was really key for me. So when I was working at UBC, and I was like in an administrative job, and it was okay. As I mentioned in the beginning, it was fine. It's good work environment, good pay, good benefits, all that stuff, but like not really that exciting. And I knew I wanted to do something else, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like I really wasn't tuned into any of this. So what I did, I was reading a book at the time, and they had suggested that I email 7 to 10 close friends and ask them a couple questions. So I did this. So I asked them, what are 3 words that you would use to describe me? What do you think is unique about me? And what is 1 or 2 things that I'm better at doing than most people? And I just sent this to, like 10 close friends and family. And because it was people close to me, they really took the time to think about their responses and send them back. And the information was really interesting. Like prior to that, I had been running a lot with the running room, like doing half marathon clinics and stuff, and had participated in so many that I started volunteering and leading like run clinics. And I got lots of friends into running and was just sharing my knowledge around that. And so lots of people, when they responded, said that I was really patient and I was really good at coaching and being supportive and positive. And the thing that stuck out to me was that people said I was patient. And prior to me asking that, my self-reflection on myself is that I'm super impatient. And so it was interesting because we all see ourselves differently than how other people see us. So it was interesting to get that perspective from others. And it came across in multiple people's perspective of myself that I was patient and, really positive and welcoming and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, that's not how I see myself at all. But doing this email exercise and getting an outsider perspective was really key in terms of me thinking like, okay, maybe I should pursue being a personal trainer because all of these characteristics kind of align with what I enjoy doing. So maybe this would be something I would be good at. Okay, next one is experiment. If you don't know what it is that you love to do, maybe make it your mission for the next year. Once a month for every month. So next 12 months, try something new. Sign up for a new course, try a new activity, go to a new part of town, just like experiment with new things. And there's so many things we can do and learn out there. Get out of your rut and try something different and just see what happens at the end of the year. Don't have any expectations on anything. Just commit to trying something new once a month for the next year. The next thing is utilize what opportunities you have available. So I was lucky, as I mentioned, I worked at UBC, and UBC is a really good staff benefits. So I was able to utilize, they have free career coaching, or they just call it coaching, but I used it for developing my career. And so you could do that with one of their staff coaches. And I worked with her for several weeks, and it was someone to chat through, my strengths, my weaknesses, chat through what I wanted to do, where I wanted my career to go, someone to hold me accountable. And that was free. That was just one of those resources that UBC offered. So check and see what your employer offers. Maybe there's something that you can utilize that gives you a little bit more fulfillment in your current role, but you can also utilize within your personal life. The next one, surround yourself with positive people. This is so key. As I mentioned, I go to that conference every year, and the room is like bursting with positivity. The vibe, the energy from the end of the week, I'm just like flying. And it's the same with like the health retreats that I've been doing. Because the health retreat is really specific, and there's really only like a small segment of people who would be interested in going away and being active and relaxing, but like an active getaway, an active weekend or vacation that really attracts a certain specific, a niche person. And so I'm fairly confident, and it has been the case with all my health retreats, is that these are all like-minded people. And when you get them together in a room for a weekend or a week, the energy, the positivity, the acceptance, just the environment is awesome. And it allows you that time to just have the thoughts kind of develop in your brain, and it's infectious. If you're ever in a room with someone and they're really bad mood, probably you've felt how that can like kind of latch onto you, and it's not really that good. It can bring your mood down. The same thing happens on the other end of the spectrum. So surround yourself with as many positive people as you can. The next one, this is a really great blog by Mark Manson. I'm going to post that in the Facebook group so you guys can read it and link it there. It's just, he has a really great way of writing and an interesting angle about talking about how you find your life's purpose and your passion. And it's an awesome blog. It's not that long of a read. So I'll post that in the Facebook group so you guys can check that out. Okay, so one thing, last month we talked about mindset, and there's a reason why I did that workshop first, because I think that we all have like this constant negative stream of thoughts, and it takes work to retrain that, and it takes work to focus on the positive, and it takes work to quiet all the negative, and it also takes work to acknowledge that everyone has that negative stuff. Some people just listen to it more, right? I still have all those negative thoughts in my head. I just kind of like dust them to the side and keep plowing forward. So I think that when you're looking at what it is you want to do and what your passion is, it's really important to acknowledge like there will be negative thoughts there. And anytime we try and push ourselves out of the comfort zone, that's when those thoughts get louder, because your body, your brain is like, no, just stay where you're comfortable. Please don't go on to the other stuff. Just stay exactly where you are in this kind of like mediocre train, or not mediocre lane. So just acknowledge that there's going to be some negative thoughts in your brain, and that's fine. You don't have to listen to them. Just observe that they're there. Journaling is a really great way to push past the negative. Put your thoughts, your doubts on a piece of paper, and then leave that paper to the side and continue on. Park them there, acknowledge them, and keep on moving. And give yourself some grace. I think that you haven't figured out everything. I haven't figured out everything. We're all going through life learning and figuring this stuff out together. So you might mess up and you might misstep here and there, and you don't have it all figured out, and that's fine. You don't have to know everything from the beginning. Nobody expects that from you, so don't expect that from yourself. And the last thing about pushing past the negative is, life is really short. Like, I'm sure we all have people, loved ones, friends, and family who have left us way too soon. And for me, I just feel like if you're not going to do it and you're not going to go after something now, then when are you going to do it? Like, are you going to wait till, I don't know, your kids get older, wait till you're retired? Like, nothing is guaranteed. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. It's a little bit of a negative viewpoint from my like eternally optimistic perspective, but it's just nothing's guaranteed. So do it now, because this is what we have. This is our life, and you owe it to yourself to kind of tune in and find what fires you up, and not go through life in kind of a ho-hum, like, yeah, everything's okay, I guess. Like, we deserve more than kind of that Eeyore mid-ground of complacency. Okay, so next one, how do you balance your priorities? When you have 1,000,001 things to do and you want to try something new, you want to shift where you're currently at, how the heck do you find time to fit that in? Like, it can be challenging. I totally understand. One of the things I found really effective, I'm obviously a big advocate of planning my week, and I always talk about my passion planner and putting block time in for specific things that are important to me. For me, especially when I was working full time and trying to grow my business, I focused on 20 minutes a day. So every day I made sure I had 20 minutes blocked in. Now, this is similar to if you've done like any of my health fitness challenges. I'm always like, workouts are 20 minutes, because I know everyone can find 20 minutes in their day. I would say, unfortunately, 98% of the population probably spends 20 minutes on social media. I definitely do. I spend more than that. So 20 minutes you can find in your day to focus on what's important for you. Maybe that's your health and nutrition. Maybe it's pursuing, like myself, my part-time job. Maybe it's growing my business. Maybe it's doing a hobby. That's one thing that I should mention, actually, when I'm talking about finding your passion. It doesn't mean that you have to like find what you love and quit your job and go do this thing full time like I did. That's not really what I'm talking about. There's lots of different ways that your passion can be fulfilled. So it could be a hobby. It could be a volunteer role that you're doing. Maybe it's just something you, it is a business, but it's just a side thing that you just do on the side. And you're fine with having your main full-time job, but having something a little bit more fulfilling on the other side. Or, lots of people, their passion is their children. That's where they feel so engaged. That's where that slide that I had in the beginning, that, that fires you up, that sets your soul on fire and brings a smile to your face and makes you want to jump out of the bed. Maybe that is raising your kids to the best of your abilities. So when I talk about passion, I don't mean necessarily you need to find what you love to do, quit your job and go do that. That's what worked for me. And if that's where you're at, then that's awesome. But there's not only one definition for that. Okay, so sorry, going back to my list of balancing priorities. 20 minutes a day, try and schedule it in and have like a tangible to-do item in that 20 minutes. 3 to-dos per week. Or if you're really strapped and that sounds way too much for you, let's say 3 to-dos per month. So something like, let me see, these can be really simple. You want to break them down so they're super achievable. So let's say you don't know what you want to do, but you know that you can put 20 minutes a day, and your 3 to-dos for the month will be, you want to research some new courses, something new you could learn that's interesting to you. Maybe you want to send out 3 emails to your friends to get their outsider perspective on what you're really good at. Or if you want to maybe start a blog, or like a cooking blog, or I don't know, whatever kind of blog, maybe you could commit to writing 3 paragraphs a week. And then, in your 20 minutes, you just sit down and write whatever, 1 paragraph. But if you try and distinguish what it is you want to achieve that month or that week, if you have more time, then you can put those to-dos in the 20-minute slots. So I will sit down on Sunday, look at my calendar, put in my 20-minute slots on every day, and then in that slot I will write, this is what I need to accomplish this one, this is what I need to accomplish. You might not get them all done, but you're sure as heck going to move a lot further and a lot closer to your goals if you write them down. 100%. Let's say you had 3 things for the month. If you got 2 done, that's awesome. That's better than if you wrote nothing down. So setting monthly, quarterly, and annual goals. And I have a goal setting workbook that I'm going to share with you guys that will help with that I'll go into a moment. I won't go into too much detail on that one just yet. Reassess your to-do list. This was one that was really interesting. I continue to do, and I definitely spent some time on this when I was at UBC, and when I was towards the end before I left, I was working part-time at UBC and then part-time, or really full-time in my personal training business. And I really had to start looking at my to-do list and deciding, what did I not need to do? And every week I would look at my meetings and be like, what meeting is not important? What can I take out of here? One of the things for me, which my husband can attest to this shift in my perspective in the last couple of years, I was always the type of person that if I came home, I had to clean, had to do the dishes, I had to sweep, I had to make the bed, whatever was like messy. Like I couldn't sit down and work until it was clean. And then I read a book that was like, no, what your priority is, that's what you have to focus your attention on. And so I realized that by me coming home and cleaning, my focus was on my cleaning, was on my condo. It was not on my work. So now I do my work, do whatever my to-do is for the day or the week or whatever. And once that's all done, because that is my focus, that's my attention, that's my priority, then I can get to the other stuff. So it's interesting. I had this like preset to-do list in my head, and I had placed a higher priority on cleaning my condo. But when I really stopped and think about it, I was like, does it matter? Does it matter if the floor gets swept at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m.? Doesn't really matter. So challenge yourself in some of the thoughts that you have in your head. And like, is that true? Is that the way it is? Or is that the way my mind is telling me it is? And then the last one is really important, to change your perspective in the words used. So I think that often when people say, oh, I just don't have time. I don't have time for that. I don't have time. If you find yourself saying, I don't have time, see if you can swap those words and say, it's not a priority for me right now. And that's totally fine. But just use those words instead of, I don't have time. It makes such a difference. If you say, oh, I want to go to the gym, but I don't have time. I want to go to the gym, but it's not a priority for me right now. And if that's true, fine. It's not a priority for everyone, and it's not a priority every day for everyone, and things go in ebbs and flows. But if you shift to that wording, it becomes more clear in your mind where your priorities are and where you're spending your time, and whether you're using that as an excuse, like, I don't have time for that, or if it genuinely is true, it's not a priority. Because if it is a priority, you will make time for it. That is true 100% of the time. Okay, so next one, homework for you guys. By the way, I hope you guys did some of the mindset homework in the last month and hopefully found it useful. You can always revisit that other workshop or the documents that I posted in the group if you kind of need a refresher and you need to like recalibrate on that. So at the end of December, I shared a big goal setting document with my email list. And if you were in the December consistency challenge, I shared it in there. I kind of pared that down a fair bit and took out and basically built some of the pieces around the goal setting. And it's a much shorter workbook that I actually did a workshop on goal setting on my Mexico health retreat. So I'm going to share that in the Facebook group and set some time to go through that. It's an opportunity to do some brainstorming. All the instructions are in there. Basically, you set the timer for 5 minutes, and the first sheet, it has a section where you can write your goals, that things you want to accomplish within 1 month, things within 3 months, things within 1 year, and then things in your lifetime. And you just set the timer to 5 minutes and you just free flow and let things come out of your mind. They can be health and wellness related, they can be career related, they can be family, they can be places you want to travel. They can be so many different things. There's no right or wrong, just like let it all come out of your brain. Then you're going to go through and circle the ones that kind of like stand out the most to you, and you're going to choose the one item that would have the biggest impact on your life. And as you go through the pages, you'll see, then you're going to brainstorm around that one item and what are all the steps necessary to achieve that item. Then you'll go through and put dates beside all those steps. And then I hopefully put those into your calendar as those are actionable items. So then you go from brainstorming this big passion, all of these ideas and things you want to do in your life, to choosing one item, paring it down, and then coming up with a succinct plan and steps on how to get there. Okay, so that is homework number 1, is to complete that goal setting workbook. Maybe, 20 minutes is probably the minimum you would want to set aside for that. Try some new things. See if there's a new class or, I don't even know, like a new restaurant, or try a new hike, or just try something new in the next couple weeks. Something that like you've kind of thought, I might like to try. Like, for an example, I keep saying I want to try rock climbing and I never go rock climbing. So I don't know, why am I not doing that? Maybe I will lead by example and sign up for a rock climbing course. Do more fun stuff. If you don't know what it is that you love to do in terms of like finding your passion, you feel like you're kind of struggling in this, the very easiest thing is to do more stuff that you find that is fun. Just focus on that. And by doing that, over time, it will organically bubble up for you. So just focus your energy and attention on the fun stuff. And be open to new people and experiences. I think that I hear a lot from adults after you get through post-secondary education that people are like, it's hard to make friends. It's hard to meet new people. And, once people are adults in their lives, it's just hard to make those connections. But the more I'm finding in the last couple of years is that the more open you are to new people and experiences, actually lots of people say it's hard to make friends. So if you're open and you're sociable and you put yourself in situations where you have opportunities to meet new people, you just never know what sort of connections might come from that, and what might kind of inadvertently tumble out from that. So just be open to that and see what happens from that, and give up some control. Sometimes when you don't know what you want, it can be really hard to, it can be frustrating if you're used to control and you're used to the structure and you want to know like, well, I'm going after this. So I do X, Y, Z to get there. If you just kind of let go and just know like, okay, let's say you're meditating. I would meditate on how I want to feel when my business is really successful and I feel like I'm in this really good spot. And, I don't know all the specifics of what that means and how I'm going to get there. And I don't need to know all of those. I focus on the feeling. An example of this is when I went to that conference in San Diego. It was probably 16, 18 months ago now. And when I left, I said, okay, but when I come back next year, I'm going to have handed in my resignation letter. And then I remember talking to my husband at night saying like, how the heck am I going to be, how am I going to leave UBC? Like, I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet. I don't know how I'm going to make enough money. I don't know how I'm going to find enough clients, and I don't know how I'm going to do any of this. But I still stayed true to my belief of I'm going to hand in my letter and I'm going to make it work. And that's the thing that we would just talk about is like, I don't know how it's going to work, but we know it's going to work. And you have to have the belief in that and focus on that positive end goal and not worry about all the steps in between. And that's not your goal to worry. You just have to know where you want to go, or not even the final destination, but how you want to feel when you get there, and focus your energy and your attention, your meditation, journaling, all of that stuff on that, and release a little bit of control along the way. And the last thing I want to recommend, this is like one of my favorite books. I've read it twice already. I think I only found it like 10 months ago or something like that. So You're a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness by Jen Sincero is a phenomenal book. I don't even know. It's like 15 or 20 bucks. You can buy it on Amazon. Honestly, do yourself a favor if you have not read this book. Please go order it or go to the library and get it. It's so good. It's just like a girlfriend sitting beside you, chatting and telling you to like get out of the doubts in your head and go do good shit that you're supposed to be doing in life. Really awesome book. And kind of linked to that is this thing of like, why should you find your passion? Because I really believe that we each have something to contribute. We each have this unique gift, something that we're really good at. And someone out there is depending on you to deepen your relationship with your why, and why that's important to you, and what sets your heart on fire. Someone out there in the world needs you to show up in your best way, and that is usually aligned with your passion, and to contribute and to give back in the way that is most meaningful to you. And someone out there needs that. So I think that we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to others to find out what that is and to pursue that, even if it is challenging and it is slightly uncomfortable to get to that point. Someone really needs you to do that. And maybe that's a little bit like, that's just how I believe the universe is, that everyone has their goal or their place, and everyone has something to contribute and a unique value, and we just kind of need to tune into it to be able to contribute that. So that is the end of, I kind of like charged through that really quickly because with this like video conferencing thing, it's basically we have like 40 minutes. I don't want it to like disconnect in the middle of me chatting. But anyway, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions, or you can always post in the Facebook group. You can also message me directly if you'd rather have like a private conversation on it. But I do like the public posting in the Facebook, because I always find in life, people have a question and they don't want to say it out loud, but like 9 times out of 10, someone else is asking that same question. So it's, don't feel like scared to say, ask a question in the Facebook group if you guys have one, because other people might be thinking it too. Oh yeah, just a reminder, guys, that we can do a once monthly check-in call, and I'll post a whole bunch of things under this video in the Facebook group, so you guys have all of the resources in one spot. So if you haven't done a check-in call with me, I would really love to do one with you. We're 2 months in to the best year yet. And I want to just check in and see how things are going for you and see how I can support you more and what sort of like barriers and blocks you're coming up against. But also I personally want some feedback on how you're finding the group. I mentioned before that I'm going to be like relaunching it in the spring. So there's a few pieces that I want to know, like, do you like the precision nutrition software that I'm utilizing? Do you like the workshops? Is there something more that you want from the group, more accountability or more resources or information? Am I giving you too much? I don't know. I just kind of want to check in with you. So if you can schedule a call with me at a time that works with your calendar, that would be awesome, because I really value your feedback and I want to hear from you guys and hear how it's going. So yeah, that's it for today. And Michelle and Kelly, I think you guys, if you have a question, you can just, there's also a chat box here. If you want to type something in there, you're welcome to. But I think that you guys are quiet, so I think not today. But anyway, I'll post this in the Facebook group, so comment below or send me a message and go forth and conquer. And let me know if you have any success moving the dial and finding something that really excites you, because I love hearing about that stuff. Okay, guys, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'll chat with you later.